What's up, everybody? Chicago Goonie here, bringing another Arsenal talk. Well, got hammered out of the league today. Draw is not good enough. We need to win every single game out, and 1 point is not good enough. Maybe if you're in second place with only like 4 points back or something, it's decent and you're still in it. But this was the nail in the coffin for our league, and it's also a concern considering of how we finished even last year. Once we uh, were done with the league, we were mathematically taken out. I believe we were in second place still, and then we kind of bottled 2 games at the end of the season. Uh, I believe it was against Sunderland, and I believe it was against like Swansea City again last season. And the players just doesn't look interested. They were just prepping or something, or trying to stay healthy for the FA Cup final, and we ended up dropping all the way to third. This is a concern going forward for the rest of the season. If the players or if some of the players are going to be interested in finishing out the season, since we still have 6 games left, which they need to be. Um, they still need to remain focused to finish at least in the top three, so we don't get into that fourth spot to where we have 2 extra games next season, especially with the Euros this summer. Some players might be coming back late, uh, depending on how far they get into the Euros and such. Um, Defensive nightmare throughout the game. Uh, we were strong in the first, what was it, about 40 minutes. We were controlling the game. We were controlling the pace of the game. Uh, Defending at that point was good enough. They didn't have too many opportunities. They had one opportunity that was called offsides, which shouldn't have been against West Ham. It should have been a goal for West Ham, but it was called offsides. The guy, he was onside. Bellerin kept him onside, and the side judges, you just got that all wrong. The side judges this season in the BPL have been as shocking as the head referee on the pitch. Going into the defending a little bit, um, if I had to give a rating to Nacho Monreal for this game, it would be a 0. People were slating Gabriel throughout the game, after the first goal went in. Um, but no one was talking about Monreal. If you were actually watching the game, Monreal had the worst game of anybody on the pitch. He had one of the worst defending games of any Arsenal player this season. He was completely useless. It was like he wasn't even there. That first goal and the third goal was on him. The first goal, he fell asleep, wasn't marking his man, didn't even look behind himself, didn't even bother to look. I don't understand how you could not look behind yourself or up to pitch to see if who's making a run, because a cross is coming in. But Monreal doesn't even bother looking. He just keeps his eye on the ball watching, and he gets beat by Andy Carroll with a header. It was a joke, really. Should never even happened. If he positioned himself well, if he saw where Carroll was positioned on the pitch, knowing full well that cross was coming in, it shouldn't have been happening, regardless of how tall Andy Carroll is. All you have to do is position yourself and block him out of the play altogether. Um, Throughout the whole game, watching him play, it was a nightmare. So many times out of position, so many times getting beat, whether by a winger, by Andy Carroll, who is slow as dirt. It was just a nightmare. He deserves a 0. He doesn't even deserve a 1 at all. The third goal was on him as well. Getting beat by Emenike on. He doesn't have the makeup speed to make up if a winger or even a pacey striker makes a move towards goal. He just doesn't have it. But yet he gives that option to the winger almost every single time, and he gets beat every single time, and a cross comes in every single time. This is his major flaw. And for the fact that he gives that up to a winger, to a striker, to even a number 10, every single time is beyond me. After that first half, he should have never been brought back to the second half. He was that bad. He didn't add anything in the attack. It was like they were playing three at the back the entire time today. There was times where Bellerin was pushed up all the way forward, and then you look across the screen and Monreal's pushed up all the way forward too. Why? When you need to be pulled back, when you know they're going to try to hit you on the counter, when we were in control of the game, but yet he's pushed forward too. Just poor defensively, poor attacking wise. Poor crossing. Everything was poor about his game today, but no one was talking about it. I don't get it. People are slating him, or people are slating Gabriel at every turn. Gabriel made a few mistakes today. That second goal came off a deflection and wasn't really even on him. The third goal wasn't even on him either. Ospina was not being aggressive. That's what makes Ospina just above average goalkeeper. He's not a great goalkeeper. He'll never be a world class goalkeeper. Why? Because he's not aggressive enough inside his own 6-yard box. He's just not. And his positioning on that second goal, where Andy Carroll, got a lucky deflection off of Gabriel. His positioning was awful. He gave up the near post on that goal when he should have been closer to the near post, maybe giving up maybe a yard or two of the near post, because that's all that Andy Carroll had to aim at, the near post. That was it. If you really look at the direct line, there is a nice shot, a nice replay of the direct line from the back of the goal to Andy Carroll's shot. There's so much space in the near post, and that's on Ospina not being in position, not seeing, not identifying, or not being aware of where his near post is. And that third goal, same thing. He wasn't aggressive enough. And again, the near post was wide open, and Gabriel was there, and unfortunately, it took a deflection off him and went in. Cech was fully fit, fully healthy, but yeah, he's sitting on the bench. Again, another mishap, another miscalculation, once again, by Arsene Wenger. He did it in the Champions League by trying to start Ospina in the first two games and sit in Cech for whatever fucking reason. This is why you buy a goalkeeper like Cech to play in these big games. Ospina made a couple nice saves today, but again, a lot of it was on him too. Not being aggressive enough inside the box. Not being aware of where his near post is. Giving up too much of the goal when the shooter, which was Andy Carroll, had so much to aim at. He had so much space to aim at. And as a goalkeeper, you cannot give that much space up. Especially on the near post when that's all that the striker really has to aim at. So Monreal and Ospina were by far the worst players on the pitch today. Like I said, Gabriel had a couple mishaps today, but honestly, I didn't think it was anything that would crucify him the way Arsenal fans were crucifying him today during the game, saying that he's a liability and blah, blah, blah. Ospina is a liability. Monreal is a liability today. When you take those two players out of the equation, we're playing with 9 men. And what can you expect out of Gabriel, Koss, and even Bellerin to make up that kind of mistakes from two players? It's like asking for 1,000 miracles in one game, and it's just not going to happen. I even saw a tweet, somebody tweets that said Ozil was having a poor game today. I mean, this is the mindset of Arsenal fans to where, if a deflection goes off a player and it goes in, it's entirely his fault. Instead of actually looking at the game, this is what drives me crazy about Arsenal fans. It's like they're not even watching the game. It's like they are uh, listening to the game on Arsenal player instead of actually sitting there watching the game. This loss is mainly on, in my opinion, Gabriel and Ospina more than any other players on Arsenal today. The front line, they did everything they needed to do. Scored 2 goals early, and then you put it in the hands of the defense, and they bottle it. Can't blame El Neni, can't blame Coughlin, can't blame any of those guys because they were doing their jobs. Coughlin made a couple rash challenges, which kind of drives me nuts still. That someone needs to tell him, you don't need to go both feet in every single challenge. There's times where you have to, really just stay compact and stay composed. But then again, they did, those guys did nothing wrong, especially El Nani. He did nothing wrong. Those are the two first guys that were taken off the pitch. Kind of shocking they bring in Aaron Ramsey so early. Um, again, after that third goal too, they show a screenshot of Arsene Wenger just sitting down. I made a tweet saying that Arsenal, it was like right before the goal. Arsenal just looked like they haven't been out of the dressing room yet. They started off slow. They started off sluggish. Looks like it. It was almost kind of like they saw those 2 goals at the end of the half, which was less than 2 minutes time, and it was just deflating for a lot of them. And it has to be. It has to be two guys like Ozil and Sanchez and Iwobi and Welbeck and who are busting their ass making chances and creating chances and being dangerous, doing their jobs. And you see a guy like Monreal just bottling it. You see Ospina not being aggressive enough, which he should be. That's got to be really disheartening to look back at that and just see this is what we're dealing with right now. Ozil gave an interview for BT Sport, I believe, came out on Friday. Him talking about that Arsenal is lacking the signings. That in the summertime, again, this is the second time he said this in the last probably 2 weeks, that Arsenal does need to strengthen in the summertime, and they better. Because we need a lot of reinforcements, not just a few players. We need a lot of reinforcements coming in. And the way Arsenal, mandates their transfer policies, it's just not going to happen. Because if you look at the makeup of the team, Gibbs might be gone at the end of the season, so we need another left back. We don't have another proper right back, so we're going to need to go out and get another one of those. You know, need a striker, need another winger. I know I will be coming up huge again today. 2 assists, assisting on the first goal with Mesut Ozil was a great finish, great pass by Iwobi. Uh, Alexis Sanchez, same thing, another great pass, another great flick up, picking out Alexis Sanchez for the second goal. But if there's a player out there that is currently right now better than Iwobi, which I will be still learning. Yes, he's having a number of great games compiled into one. But if there's a world class winner out there, you go out and fucking get him because that's what we're really lacking. And of course, that world class striker, if there's one out there to get. I know, out of this week, Morata has been in the headlines saying that he's the number one target for Arsenal. If that's our target this summer, again, we're in deep shit. I'm sorry, he's an okay striker. He only has 10 goals this season with Juventus playing in a mediocre league in Serie A. And he only has 10 total goals this entire season. You need one of those strikers that's going to get you at least 25 to 30 goals total in a season. And if he's out there, you better go out and get him. And again, if people aren't that satisfied with Gabriel, if they don't think he's gonna push forward, which I think he can. The thing about a back line, thing about a back four is that everyone needs to be on the same page, and today it just wasn't. Especially when you lose your left back complete. When your left back is completely useless in a game, that really puts pressure on the center backs. Really puts pressure on Koss. Really puts pressure on Gabriel, knowing the fact that a cross is going to come in every single fucking time because he's inadequate, he's incompetent as a left back, because he gives up too much space, because he doesn't have the make-up speed, and he doesn't have the physicality to push someone off the ball. He'd rather flap around like a fucking fish on the ground and scream. Now let's get into another thing. Andy Carroll should have been fucking sent off after that elbow to the face of Gabriel. I believe that was before the third goal even happened, too. Should have been sent off. He had a rash challenge, a really bad challenge. Two of them, actually. It was 2 fouls in one against Koss. First he kicks him in the ankles, and then he spikes him in the ankles. And that was a yellow card in the 4th minute. He had a few other fouls going into that challenge against Gabriel. These referees, these side judges, need to start putting more of a strict against strikers, because they throw their elbows around all the time. Even Drew does it, especially the big strikers who have very little to no pace. They really throw their elbows around, and that was a clear elbow, knowing exactly where Gabriel was. That was a clear elbow to the face. And from what I know, from what I read, as far as the rules go, that is a red card. And he should have been sent off. But no, somehow he survives. He even had a couple more fouls after that too. He should have been sent off. I mean, it was he. I mean, you could have had a drinking game. I know Man United have a drinking game with Fellaini of how many fouls he gets, and you take he gets like 10 fouls a game, and somehow stays on the pitch. You could have did an Andy Carroll drinking game today, and you would have been drunk after the first half. You would have been falling over, passed out by the 50th minute of the game. You would have been in the hospital by the end of the game. I mean, it was a joke. But you know, this type of physicality, these if you're not going to protect the players, why are these referees on the pitch? Why are these referees continuously being employed by the BPL if these rules are not going to be enforced? But there's not really much else to say. I mean, the league is over. Playing for fourth. I mean, some of these players better be playing for pride right now, which is it's scary right now because the Euros are coming up. Most of these players are going to be playing in the Euros. They're going to be selected for their teams, and that's what they're going to be thinking about. There's 6 games left. There's one important game against Man City at the Etihad, second to last game of the season. The rest of the games should be pretty easily to win. But again, it's a concern. It really is a concern because I think currently we're 5 points up, I believe, from Man City in the fourth position. So that game at Man City is going to be huge. But at the same time, you got to think about it. Euros are coming up. How many of these players are going to be thinking about that? Some of these players aren't going to be thinking, well, maybe I should go in. You know, there's no definite answer if Alexis Sanchez will be playing in Copa America this summer. That's being held in the United States. Um, there's some talk already that most of the major players will not be playing in the tournament, but nothing is for certain yet. Um, it would be nice. It would be nice to give Alexis Sanchez a fucking summer off. He hasn't had a summer off in like the last I think the year before the World Cup was the last time he had a summer off, and that was 2013. Currently 2016. If they happen to play in they happen to win the Copa America again in the United States, they would go to the Confederations Cup the next summer, and again, he wouldn't have another summer off. And then, of course, it's the World Cup again the following summer, and then even the following summer after that is another Copa America. So I mean, the guy's not never going to have a summer off. So it would be kind of nice if um, I don't know if they have the same kind of rules as CONCACAF, to where CONCACAF has 2 Gold Cups in a World Cup cycle, and if two different teams, two different nations win each one, then they play in a one-game playoff. Hopefully, the Chilean manager just says, you know what, screw it. Let's give most of my major players the summer off. We'll play in that one-game playoff, and we'll put all of our eggs in one basket on that. So it's going to be one to look out for too this summer. But again, these players playing in the Euros, it's going to be. God, I mean, I hope some of them think that, well, maybe I won't be on the team just yet, so maybe I have to play out the rest of the season because, again, if they don't make fourth this season, it's gonna be very dire. It's gonna be hard to hold on to players. It's gonna be hard to even sign players. Considering of how we bottled it this entire summer or this entire season, it's going to take a lot of money to convince certain players to even come here in the summertime. World class players. So where if Barcelona goes on another spending spree, Bayern Munich goes on a spending spree because they're having a new manager. Obviously, Pep is coming to Man City, and they're already talking about a big overhaul this summer. Um, you know, Chelsea's going to be out of the Champions League, but again, they're going to try to spend as much money as possible. Man United is going to have a cash flow of money again. Chances are Jose Mourinho is going to be taken over after LVG gets sacked after the summertime, during the summer. So they're going to be spending a ton of money too. Let's hope they don't make a final push into that final four spot. We need them to definitely, finish lower again. Uh, stay in that Europa League spot. It's going to be kind of sickening if we don't finish above Tottenham this year. Very sickening. Um, it's just it. I don't know. It's going to be a rough final, 4 or 5 weeks of the season here. It's going to be a nail biter to see what kind of Arsenal comes out, especially in this next game, knowing full well that the league is completely lost now. There is no chance. After this draw, there is just no chance whatsoever. I mean, you would need a monumental breakdown of Leicester City and Tottenham to finish out the season. I know they have a few tough fixtures still left on their schedule, but I mean, you it has to be some type of fucking miracle, and I just don't see it. Um, that's what we've all been hoping and praying for over the last 3 or 4 weeks. I think last week of Leicester City beating Southampton, and I think that was basically definitely done after that. Southampton not even putting in a shift at all during that game. It was kind of like a fucking joke of a game. Um, yeah, it's gonna be a rough last few weeks of watching the Arsenal and just seeing where their mentality is at. Um, showing the mentality of the manager himself. Um, I just don't see where he's gonna find any type of motivation. Especially from what some of the players have been saying over the last couple weeks. How some of the players are being vocal now, especially Ozil. Um, last time a world class player was vocal at Arsenal was RVP, and you know how that turned out. Um, Arsenal really needs to go out there this summer and not wait until the end of the Euros, like he did with the World Cup, of saying after the World Cup, well, we're not going to sign anybody until after the World Cup and blah blah blah. He needs to get out there now, and they need to start talking to agents now and start setting up contracts now, so they can start announcing some signings early. He needs to get his work done early, because the way it looks right now, we need a striker, a winger, right back, a left back, and possibly another uh, midfielder. So that's 5 positions. Well, maybe we won't need a right back because we'll have Jenkinson coming back possibly from West Ham. So maybe they can battle, him and Bellerin can battle it out at right back position. But, you know, filling that striker role and that winger role is vital this summer. Um, I know a lot of people are saying, it's a revelation for Iwobi to be playing this well, but again, it can be disastrous because this is the type of stuff that we were saying about the Ox, when he came onto the scene. And look at him now. Hasn't improved, hasn't been playing well, still injured. Theo Walcott, same deal. It's it's giving Arsene Wenger more ammunition to not go out there and spend and get a world class winner. Even with Leicester City, winning the league this year, it's going to just give him more ammunition to say, well, look, they didn't spend any money. Why do we have to spend any money? That's the mentality of the manager. And honestly, even you know, there's rumors that Ozil have verbally agreed to a new contract. I think even if he signs a new contract before the summertime or during the summertime, and we don't go out there and really spend some money and get some other world class players into this team, um, possibly even this summer, possibly next season will be his last at Arsenal. I can really see it. Because him being more vocal, him being, trying to be more of a leader, trying to be more of a vocal leader in his interviews, he's saying this is what we fucking need. And we better go out there and do it, and we better go out there and get it. Instead of being so fucking coy about our transfer policies and what we do. Because Iwobi, yes, he's great for the future, but we need to be thinking about now, not 2 or 3 years from now, 4 years from now, now, next year. Because I mean, just think about what our Champions League teams are going to look like next year. It's going to be Leicester City, Tottenham, Arsenal, and possibly Man City. And especially the way that Tottenham plays in Europa League, they're going to be out in the first round. Leicester City, they're going to be out in the first round because I can't see them holding on to Mahrez after this season. I just can't see it. I can see them holding on to Vardy, but just because of the fact that he's too old, I don't think anybody will pay a large sum of money for him because of his age. I don't know. I'm just not gonna get into it. I'm gonna get into it more at the end of the season and stuff, and see what kind of players are available and see what kind of media reports of talking about what players are available this summer, and stuff like that. But again, here's to the end of the season.